This is the video you should be watching before you take your quiz. We're going to review circle graphs, we're going to review stem and leaf plots, mean, median, and mode, and we're going to review histograms. So this is going to get you ready for your quiz. Number 1, the table below shows the number of hours Jan worked during a week. If you made a circle graph from the data, how many degrees would the section for Wednesday be? So there were problems just like this in your homework. We need to find part over whole equals degrees over 360. So we're going to set up this proportion to solve for the degrees. We're looking for Wednesday because that's what the question is asking. So I know my part for Wednesday is 5 hours. To figure out how many hours total were worked, you're just going to add all these up. So 6 plus 4 is 10, plus 5 is 15, and then we have plus 4 is 19, plus 4 is 23. So 5 over 23 equals, we don't know the degrees, that's what we're solving for, and we know a circle has 360 degrees total. From there, I'm going to cross multiply. 23 times x is 23x. Set that equal to 5 times 360. 5 times 360 is 1,800. Then I'm going to divide both sides by 23 because I want to get x by itself. So when I do that, I'm left with x equals, so I'm taking 1,800 divided by 23, and I get 78.2608, on and on and on. But we're going to round that, let's say to the nearest tenth. So it's going to be 78.3 degrees. So Wednesday's section on the circle would be 78.3 degrees. Number 2 says find the mean, median, mode, and the range. The first thing we should do when given a set of data is to put it in order from least to greatest. So we have 25, 25, 40, 48, 50, and 70. And then to double check I have all of them, I'm going to count up how many I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Count how many I was given. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And they match, so that's a good sign. I'm going to start with the mode, because that's my favorite. Mode is how many or what number repeats itself. Do any numbers show up more than once? In this case, yes, we do have a mode. Our mode is 25 because there's two 25s. Then I'm going to go to range. It doesn't matter what order you do these in as long as you answer them all. The range is going to be my biggest value minus my smallest value. My biggest value is 70. My smallest value is 25. So I just take 70 minus 25 against the biggest value minus the smallest value, and I get 45. So my mode is 25. My range is 45. My mean, which is my average, is going to be all these numbers added together divided by how many there are. So I know that there's 6. When I add these all up, I get 258. 258 divided by 6 gives me 43. So my mean, or my average, is 43. And then the median is the number right in the middle. So I'm going to do chopsticks with my data, and I'm going to figure out what number is in the middle. So I cross off that first, then the last. Keep going, and I'm left with 2. So I need to find the number right in the middle. To do that, I can either just think, okay, 40 and 48, what number is right in the middle? 44. If you didn't know that off the top of your head, that's okay. you can add those two numbers together and divide it by 2. You're basically finding the average of those two numbers. When you take 40 plus 48, you get 88 divided by 2, which is 44. Number 3 says explain if there are any outliers. So I'm going to just order this data super quick. So we have 25, 25. It's those same numbers that we used. Looking at this data, it's pretty spread apart. I would accept no outliers, but I would also accept if you said 70 as an outlier. Because 70 is a little bit ways off from 50. 40 is only 15 away from 25, but 70 is 20 away. So I would accept either none or 70. Number 4 says, what number would you need to add to the list to make the mean of 50? So again, to find the mean, to find the average, you add up all of the totals, divide by how many there are, and that gives you the mean. So in this case, we know that our mean is going to be 50. We know that before there was 6 numbers, but if we're adding another one on, that gives us 7 numbers. And then I am going to take all of those numbers added together. So when we found the mean before, when we added them all together, we got 258. So I'm going to take 258, that was when there were 6 numbers, plus one more number, but we don't know what the number is. So I'm going to do plus x. So now I have my equation set up. Again, 50 was the mean. 7 is how many data points there were. 258 was the total of the 6 data points, and this x is that total of the 7th. We need to figure out what that 7th number is going to be. Multiply both sides by 7, because I want to get x by itself. Those 7's cancel, and 50 times 7 is 350. And then since those cancel, I'm left with 258 plus x equals 350. To solve for x now, I'm going to subtract 258 from both sides. And I'm left with x equals 92. So I would have to add in 92 to get a mean of 50. To check this, all you have to do is count up all your numbers, which was 258, add in 92, so 258 plus 92, and you get 350. Divide that by 7, and double check that you get 50. You do, so it works. You need the number 92 to make the new mean 50. Okay, and then our last one here is making a stem and leaf plot. So again, we got to order this data. That's the first thing we should do. So we have 25, 25, 40, 48, 50, and 70. To make my stem and leaf plot, I'm going to start with my line. I'm going to put my stems on the left, my leaves on the right. I'm going to make a key right away because that's easy to forget, and I'm going to choose any numbers, so I'll just choose 4 with a line 0 is going to be equivalent to 40. Then I'm going to start my my stems with my lowest value. So it looks like 20, so I'm going to start with a 2. I have to get up to 7, but I cannot skip any values. So I'm going to go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I'm just going to fill in what I know for my leaves. So I have 2 25s. So I'm going to do a 5, no comma, and add another 5. So this shows me that there's 2 25s. There's no 30s, so I'm going to leave it blank. If you add in a 0, that creates the number 30. And there's no 30 in our data, so don't do that. Just leave it blank. For 40, let's see, we have a 0, so a 40, and we have an 8. 40 and 48. Again, no commas. 50, we have just a 50, so there's a 0. There's no 60s, so again, I'm just going to leave it blank. And then there is 170, so I'm going to add a 0 for 70. You can double check that you have all your data written on here just by counting them up. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 leaves, and I have 6 data points. So we're good to go. And then this would be a good screen to pause on and review when you would use the correct data set and why you would use that.